Well, hello. Welcome
Hey.
to thoughtraid. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It is Get Naked Monday. So we're going to be getting naked about our past, specifically high school. So come hang out and chat with us. Well, welcome to Thought Raid, where we take thoughts and find better ways of thinking about them. I'm Tim, and this is Brandon.
Hi.
And today is Get Naked Monday, where we just talk about life in an authentic way without any predispositions, preoccupations.
Nope.
Yeah, fully nude.
Yep.
So today we're going to be talking about high school, specifically the embarrassment of high school. This topic, man, like, I know high school was a lot different from you, or for you, than it was for me, because you had Jesus and I didn't. And looking back, man, like, if I had the confidence of Jesus, I really wonder if I would have responded differently.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So for you, do you think overall high school was one of those embarrassing, awkward adolescent moments, or did you have a lot of confidence?
Neither. I feel like for me it was more of a very isolative time. I remember that more than doing necessarily anything embarrassing. I kind of avoided doing things that I thought were embarrassing. There was a few things that I did do that I can potentially think of that might have been embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like, I never really truly fully felt as embarrassed as I did feel isolated in high school.
Yeah. It was just the public school I went to. I went to Davie High School out in Davie County, North Carolina. And it was really weird, man. Like, Davie County had the northern half and the southern half. In the northern half, most of the people up there, their families were more affluent, had more money, nicer homes, etc. Southern Davie County was more of the backwoods, whatever. And I don't know, man. Like, the formative years of high school were really weird for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough because I lived in northern Davie County, but our living situation wasn't as affluent as the neighborhoods around.
Mm-hmm.
And so navigating high school from the position of the world without all the value assets of the world put me in a place where I was just trying to do my best. You know, my parents were really good parents. My mom's passed away. My dad's still alive. But they were very genuine and authentic, and they taught me how to love people and to give and to be polite and mind your manners, you know. But my dad was an orphan, and my mom was raised with in a family with a bunch of kids, and their parents didn't model healthy relationship or life behaviors in a lot of regards. So, you know, my parents were just kind of doing their best. And when it came to interacting with other people, my mom always told me, sticks and stones may break your bones, but...
Words will never hurt you.
Yeah. And just all the weird things that don't really make sense in the moment. I mean, I guess they kind of make sense, but the application is, I'm feeling this right now. I'm in this right now. This sucks. Just, like, stuff it. I don't want to hear that right now. I mean, did your parents do the same thing?
What? Tell me that words will never hurt me, or what?
Well, just like those trite sayings that I don't know. People tell you, like, oh, just, you know, if it's God's will, it's God's will. All those weird sayings that are hard to believe in the moment.
I don't know. They definitely said things that irritated me, but I don't know if they said like necessarily trite type of things. We've had different growing up experiences. I think there was plenty of things that my parents specifically told me that I didn't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe, or I did hear, it's just I didn't know what to do with it, or I didn't necessarily initially trust it or whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, necessarily could I remember anything that they said? It was like, oh, hearing this again. I know my parents used to tease me all the time about one moment in my life where I said, like, I was trying to do something that I knew other people were able to do, and my parents wouldn't let me do it, and I was, in my frustration, my response was, why must I have parents that care? And they never let me live that down ever.
Yeah.
So anytime I would ever have a problem, they were always like, "Why must I have parents that care?"
That's so funny.
I know. So that was. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, there were a couple embarrassing high school moments that I definitely wanted to go over, but as I was writing them down, I was like just thinking of all the cumulative high school experiences, and in some regards, I was pretty outgoing and I didn't really care about what people thought. It's like you hit that level of weird. And once you surpass that level of weird, it's like, okay, I'm confident in this weirdness or this awkwardness, But then there's other things that just hit you, and it's like, how am I going to live through this, I definitely had a bunch of those moments, and like one of the first ones that came to me was, I guess it was actually pre-high school. I was riding the school bus home one day, and there were all these kids in the back of the bus with me, because in the back of the bus was where all the cool kids sat, and I wanted to be cool, so I sat in the back of the bus. But we were sitting back there, and all of a sudden, like, everybody's like, "What is that? Ugh, gosh," and I think it was like, must have been 7th or 8th grade. You know how when you first start the grade and you go out and you get new clothes and like a new pair of shoes, and you get your backpack and get all your pencils. Like I felt super fresh, Like I had a new. I think if I recall the shirt correctly, I was wearing like this. It was a button-down short sleeve shirt, and I think it was like green and white striped. And I had some new Nike sneakers on. And did you ever wear the jean cargo shorts? Or just cargo shorts in general?
I didn't really wear very many jean shorts. I usually wore cargo shorts. Yes, I did do that.
Yeah. That was like a big thing back then. And then the polka shell necklaces. Well, I had one of the white shell necklaces, but I was feeling super fresh. But front of the bus is safety. That's true. But anyways, so it's the first couple days of school, I think. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, the girls are going to like me. I'm going to make lots of friends. And this year is going to be different. It was always, this year is going to be different. But then all the people around me, my friends were like, what is that smell? What is that? What is that? This was before I discovered deodorant.
Oh, no.
And it was like hot, and there was nothing I could do about it in the moment. But they were like, oh, gosh. And I was like, I don't know. It's not me. It's not me. And they were like, it's you. Gosh. And just making me feel horrible about it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And so that entire bus ride home was just me sitting in it and people distancing themselves physically and emotionally from me. And I just remember sitting there just feeling like a leper, I guess.
Oh, gosh. I had experiences where people made me feel embarrassed, but not something that I was embarrassed by what I did necessarily. But there is, I think, now you mentioning that made me think about, this is not high school though. That was freaking middle school. Metal school.
For all you full metal alchemists out there.
Or you metal heads. Middle school. I remember specifically middle school inviting one of the more popular kids from the school that I was going to my house to play video games. And at the time, I had not yet began finding more discreet ways to pick my nose, to stop doing that, and where to put the stuff that came out of my nose.
Where would you put them?
On the floor.
Like in the carpet?
Yes.
Ew, gross.
Not because I would never notice it, but apparently he did. And that was embarrassing.
So you did it in front of him and you're like, just wipe it on the floor?
Well, no. I didn't do it in front of him, but because I would do it in general in my room, and I didn't think anyone would notice, and we were in our room and we were playing video games, therefore he began to notice those things. That was embarrassing, yes.
Did you ever like vacuum in there?
Not as much as I would do nowadays, but
you don't still do that, do you?
Oh, I do, but
I've been on the floor in your bedroom.
I know, but I don't throw it on the floor anymore.
Where do you throw it?
In a trash can.
Okay, you just like...
Yeah, or whatever, but yes. I have to say I haven't stopped picking my nose, just saying.
Yeah, I don't think everybody picks...
This is why I'm still single.
It's super funny, gosh.
So, but that's middle school.
You didn't ever eat your boogers, did you?
No. Okay. No, that never interested me, but...
That's a unique word. That never interested me.
Yeah,
I don't think it interests anybody, man.
Some people do or have, not me. But that didn't stop me from picking my nose, though. I don't know. It feels like that shouldn't be a social bad thing as it's been made to be. I know it's
picking your nose. It's disgusting.
I mean,
it's like picking your butthole.
No, that is definitely not apples to apples.
Are you kidding me?
Very different. That there is your face versus your butt. There is a big difference between those two spaces.
Okay, so if we were in the bathroom, just like randomly, public bathroom, and you see a guy picking his nose, you wouldn't think it's any different than if he went in the stall and wiped his tail.
I don't want to see him doing that, but
just knowing that he did it, the level of like, ugh.
I've caught plenty of people picking their nose. I don't think less of them for it. It's just a thing.
Do you do it when you drive?
No, I don't have the ability to do it when I'm driving.
Oh, you're a two-hander.
Yeah, most of the time.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I don't really do that while I'm driving.
I do that thing where I pick it while I'm driving, then I just like lean out the window and just like roll it until it dries.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Eden said, biggest betrayal is when you're uninvited from the birthday.
Oh, man.
You can pick your friends, you can pick your nose, you can't pick your friend's nose. That I don't know. We can test this.
I don't want to test that.
So that makes me think about another time. This was like, this was 6th grade. It was so bad. Well, I've told Ariane this story, and
this is not high school though.
Well, whatever. It's an embarrassing story.
Okay, we should rename this after the stream. Embarrassing stories from high school, middle school to high school, or something.
Well, I guess we'll just change it to school in general. But
through grade school.
I've told Ariane this story, and every time I bring it back up, she's like, "Oh no!" She like cringes because like she feels so bad for me. So I used to go to Skateland in Clemens. Skateland USA, the skating place.
Yes, this story.
Yep. And 6th grade was a unique year for me. First year going to a new school. Well, actually, not a new school. It was a new school, but I transitioned 1st grade to 2nd grade going to a different school. But I guess my comprehension level was different then. But going from 5th grade to 6th grade was a big deal because it was jumping from elementary to middle school where all the big kids went.
The big kids.
The big kids.
Oh, boy.
And so I remember I got a fresh new haircut. I even remember what I wore that first year. It was like this weird, like, it was a polo short sleeve shirt tucked into khaki pants, and then some Nike sneakers, and then I don't know, it's weird, I always got new sneakers, and then some kind of necklace and a haircut. I remember being so embarrassed because my, did you ever have a bowl cut?
I have not.
You remember what those look like, right?
I in general remember them, yes.
Yeah, it's like long hair on top, shaved on the sides. Well, my parents shaved it a little bit too close on the sides, and I thought that I had really big ears. I guess I did back then because, adolescent bodies.
Big ears are wonderful.
Yeah, and so I would sit there on my desk like this, covering up my ears so other people... Anyway, this is a separate point. But I kept thinking to myself, okay, this year's going to be different. I'm going to be one of the... I always wanted to be one of the cool kids. I guess that's a trend in young kids. But there was this group of people that I really wanted to associate with. They were so cool. They were into skateboarding, and they lived in the more affluent neighborhood, and they were into bands, specifically Bush, if you know who that is. Bush, No Doubt, R.E.M.
These names elude me.
Yeah, basically they were all part of the skaters.
I honestly did not listen to non-Christian music until I was in college almost.
Wow.
I didn't. I listened to jazz. That was my other type of genre that I would listen to. But much beyond that, and of course video game music, I didn't really listen to much non-Christian music until college.
Yeah. I just realized I forgot to share this. I want all the people to hear my embarrassing
songs.
Or embarrassing moments. 1 second, guys.
We must do this, I guess, simultaneously. Okay, there we go. There, I did it before you did, ha.
Well, hashtag level of professionalism.
You gotta be fast. I am the wind.
Gotta go fast, you know?
I can embarrass myself faster than you can.
Sharing out public. I never know what the difference is between sharing now and sharing to my story. I guess
the story you can write a little thing about it, but sharing now is just immediately just the stream as it is. So that's what it is specifically.
Okay. Anyways.
Hee haw.
So I was like, this year's going to be different. And I started making friends with these people, and I guess they kind of accepted me as a fringe friend, not like one, because they all went to the same school and they were established. I think they went to Coolamy or something like that, a different elementary school. And middle school was super weird because you had all these elementary schools that had finally come together. So there were these people that were pockets of friends. And I was like, oh, okay, well, how's this going to work? It's the first time that's ever happened to me. Anyway, I start making friends with these people, and then I decide that I'm going to have a birthday party. And I was really excited because Skateland USA was my place. I was I was like that was my place, you know. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to welcome these people onto my turf. I'm going to be cool for once. This is going to be great. It's going to be my birthday. So we set aside like 3 tables, had the little like plates that said happy birthday, little napkins. We had the balloons, we had a cake and everything. And it was a Saturday. And so it was a big deal. It was like right in the middle. And my friend Brian Fissel, we're still friends to this day, which is really cool. Well, acquaintances. We don't talk a lot, but anyways, he showed up. And I think out of the 15 to 20 people I invited, only Brian showed up. And so we were sitting there, and all the people that worked there felt really bad. And so they came up and they were just like, wish me happy birthday. And we shared cake with them too. And it's just, oh man. And I remember going back to school on Monday. And I was like, hey, so where were you guys? And they're like, oh, I don't know. We didn't want to come. Just like, I just think about that, man. And it's just like, once again, kind of like on the school bus where it just felt like people were physically and emotionally distant and just would not like overcome that gap and see my value in it. It felt like that to the nth degree because I felt, oh, okay, so I'm finally friends with people. And what's worse is after that, like I kind of fell out of friendship with my good buddy Brian for a couple of years because I was trying to be something. I was aspiring towards friendships that weren't healthy relationships for me. And I was distancing myself from him and my other friends. Oh, that sucked.
Yeah. I don't think I don't think I really had any tremendously big birthdays in general, nor do I think I really invited more people than I thought would come. At least not that I remember in this moment. I could ask my parents. They might be able to help me out with that better, with that knowledge. But in general, I don't think I really invited a lot of people, and then no one showed up because I didn't invite a lot of people that I think would not have come, or maybe or to assume that, because I think I had a good standing of who actually wanted to be around me, and no one seemed to pretend to like me. They just intentionally avoided me. So I didn't have a situation where...
Can I just give you... I don't intentionally avoid you.
I'm just saying, like, people just intentionally... No one really pretended to like me that I could think of. So it's not like I had to, like, guess, like, oh, maybe they like me, and then it turns out they didn't. I didn't have that a lot. And I think that might have been because I went into places that were already generally established, and so I didn't fit in. Nor did I try to really fit in either. So if I had tried to fit in, maybe they would have played along, and then I would have found out later. But I never really tried to because I was an only child, and I felt more comfortable around adults. So I didn't really... And adults don't care necessarily to fit in like people my age at the time would have. So, I think they just like, this guy is weird. I don't understand him or anything that he likes to do, whatever, so just avoid, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and not to say that I didn't try to fit in with people. I did. But I didn't, like, stress to the point of, like, trying to change all these aspects of myself, per se. But yeah, not as many. I think one of the reasons why I don't like doing silly things too much, and that it's an embarrassing thing for me, is because plenty of people did try to get me to do things I could logically see this is going to end in me looking stupid and they're going to laugh at me, and then I did my best to avoid that. Like, people would say, Brandon,
I see. I cup.
Well, not just that. I'm thinking about...
I see UP.
It was something like say pig backwards in funny colors. Which is GIP, funny colors. You know, they would try to do things like that to try to get me to say embarrassing things.
Oh.
Yes. And so, and of the first couple of times they would have done that, I would have fallen through with it, and then I was embarrassed because it was like, man, you got me to say something stupid.
Just like you got baited on stream.
Exactly. I hate that.
Was it something about Michael Jackson?
Yes.
That was so funny.
Yes. It seemed legitimate and like a good story, and then it ended up in me saying something perverted. And that happened to me a lot, and I didn't like that. So by the time I got to high school, I was very resistant to anyone trying to get me to do any of that.
Mm-hmm. There was this guy whose last name was Good. And he's a great guy. He's not just a good guy, he's a great guy.
He's a great guy.
But I remember, I don't know if it was him or his brother, but on the bus coming home from school, he was trying to get me to say, damn you, Good. And I was like, that could be taken two different ways. Like, damn you, Good, or damn you, Good. Saying that to a guy was really strange back then. Still is.
Yeah.
But I remember just being so embarrassed because somebody wanted me to do something that I knew I didn't want to do, but they were laughing at, there was also this time we were on the bus. All this embarrassing stuff happened on the bus.
On the bus. The bus is just terrible.
There was this guy who was kind of like a bully to me, and this was on the ride home, and there were all these people like watching, but he asked if he could borrow my necklace. I had this cool necklace I had gotten from the beach trip that we took that year, and so I was, naive, and I took it off and I handed it to him, and he kept looking at me, right? And there were all these people watching, girls especially. And man, when girls are watching and stuff, like two guys are engaging in something, it's like, who's going to be the alpha? That weird dynamic. But I remember giving him my necklace because I was like, since I'm a gift person, I'm like, I get to give him something. I get to loan him something. Okay, this is kind of like a caveman, friendship here, that whole thing. And so he took it. And I gave it in good faith. And then he opened up his notebook and slid it in and shut it and just like smiled at me. And I was like, it was just really awkward, because it's like, what do I do about this? Do I tell the bus driver? Or do I, tell him to give it back? Because I know he was just looking for confrontation, right? And all the like people around me started laughing. And I'm like, I don't even know if I got the necklace back. I think he ended up giving it back to me. But I just remember that separation, that sense of like, okay, well, looking back now, it's like one of us was establishing dominance there in a very cruel way. Gosh, that was so embarrassing. Because it's like, I know I should have done something about it, but I wasn't equipped with the confidence or the conflict resolution skills that I am now. And also I didn't realize, hey, this is actually what's going on. Because in my immature mind, I was just thinking to myself, I'm just trying to be friends with this guy. This is embarrassing. This sucks. I guess he doesn't want to be my friend, even though this sucks. He's kind of a cool guy, so I want to be I was trying to reconcile all of that in my mind. And I was just stuck, And even to this day, oh man, it like gets me right here. It's just like, it's not even in my heart, it's like in my stomach,
There was a few things I did in high school that I'm trying to debate if I was embarrassed or if I just played into it. I don't remember, because to a degree I remember playing into it, even though it was embarrassing, and I just kind of resigned myself to it. Some point, I don't remember, I think I was with a high school group in Agape, and we were doing like, what does the sound of certain animals make, and we were doing that, and then somehow
somebody just comes up with hey, let's make up the sounds that animals make.
Yes, and so we end up doing like, what does the sound a unicorn makes? And I don't remember if it was me or if it was someone else, but it resulted in me going like this: I'm magical. And So that carried, I think that made everyone laugh. So I carried that into high school from...
I'm magical.
I'm magical, exactly. And I have a picture of it on Facebook. You could see me doing that with like 2 other girls in the gymnasium.
2 other girls. Are you considering yourself a girl?
No! What? What?
It was me and 2 other girls.
No, that's not at all what I'm trying to imply. Anyways, I think I did that on the bus. And then I might have done it in, school itself, and they thought it was hilarious, and they laughed at probably me. If I were to guess, they found it some kind of like joke that everyone's like, this is what Brandon is kind of thing, and so they would do it with me as like, I did the thing with Brandon kind of ordeal, like, to get the picture and stuff of that nature. And so I did that, and I just continued to roll with it. I don't know. I'm still debating on what degree of embarrassed I am over that, but like, it was a thing. And like, I think another one was ballin', something like that. There's a whole thing back in the 2010 or something. Like, I don't know if it was necessarily just like a euphemism to something sexual, or if it was truly just you get the ball in through the hoop. That was the context. Maybe the joke was sexual. I don't know.
So what was it you say? I'm balling.
No. Just it's you hand motions.
Would you display it for us, Brandon?
It's like you're throwing the ball into the hoop, balling kind of thing.
No, that was just something people did.
Yeah, but I did that, and I guess maybe because I'm not some kind of sly kind of person, people found that funny as well.
You don't have the swagger to do it. Did you know that Justin Bieber had a swag coach or a swagger coach?
That doesn't surprise me.
I think that'd be really cool to have a swagger coach.
Someone to teach you.
If you are a swagger coach, let us know. thoughtraid@gmail.com.
Teach us. Swag. That was a thing that was after high school, that word.
Yeah, I remember hearing it for the first time. And it's one of those things where it just made sense when I heard it. And I'm like, this makes sense. But I couldn't wrap my head around exactly what it was. But, let's move into high school before we wrap up. So there's 2 things that I wanted to talk about. One was like hurtful embarrassment, and one was just like self-imposed. I remember... Did you have to take a foreign language in high school?
Yes.
Yeah, what'd you take?
Spanish.
I took French.
Okay.
Everybody else took Spanish, and I was like, that's lame. So I took French. Plus, there was this girl that was taking French class, and I was like...
Bonjour.
Hey. But yeah, I always thought, like, legitimately, my reason for taking French was, this is going to be a good life skill to get a girl. Just like... in the movies and whatnot, it's like, France is equated with romance, and it's like, I'm going to learn French instead of Spanish.
Yes.
I got this. But anyways, it was French class. I loved my teacher, Miss Wall. I took it for 3 years, two or 3 years, and then I took Latin after that. But it was French class, and I was notorious for not doing my work, right?
Oh, dear.
And it's like, I still have nightmares about this type of thing, where I would get called on in class to answer something, and I either did not do my work, or I had no clue what I'm talking about, and I would try and fumble my way through it, then I'd get called out. Like, the teacher would know that I'm BSing, and it's like, you had some teachers that would just like, okay, whatever, no, that's not right, so and like kind of tease it out, just giving you the benefit of the doubt. Then you have other teachers that are like, you're a piece of crap, man, you just didn't do your work. Right? Now, Miss Wall was not like that. And she was actually a very pleasant person, one of my favorite teachers at that school. And I remember she asked me what the answer to like number 7 or something was. Like, what's the answer of number 1? Oh, bonjour. Answer number 2. Oh, comment allez-vous? All this stuff. And then she gets to me. What's the answer to number 7? And I'm sitting here, my armpits are all sweaty. Like, I got that hot flash. The hairs on my neck are raised up. That like, that instinct that you get when you know that you're unprepared and you're being called to the task. But I'm sitting here trying to make it up, and she can tell. She smells my BS from 3 feet away. And she had glasses, and she had big poofy red hair, and she just went like this. And she said, "Cero." and gave me a 0 for the day.
Oh.
And then the whole class got quiet, and everybody was like staring at me, and like the girl that I took the class for was like, which like compounded the embarrassment.
Uh-oh.
And it's like, it's one of those things where I mean, I deserved it. I didn't do the work, you know. Just being called out for stuff really sucked so much, especially from an authority figure, especially when I don't have confidence in a room where there's all these people that are my peers. And I think a lot of the people that were taking that year of French were a grade below me too. So it's like I was an upperclassman.
Lo siento.
It's like the 3 levels of shame.
Yes. Well acquainted.
Man, trying to be something that you're not really sucks.
Yes.
They're like pretending that you got it together and you don't.
That is something I didn't really have a problem with. Just because of who I was.
Oof.
And my background.
Yeah. How so?
I didn't really try to pretend to be something I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, I never really attempted to make you believe that I was any more or less than I was.
I wonder if that's because you grew up knowing who Jesus was and I didn't.
I also grew up an only child who was comfortable with parents, which also didn't care about what people thought about them. So, you know, regardless if I knew Christ or not, I feel like I would have still had some degree of, you know, not really trying to fit in as hard as other people. I wanted to be accepted, but I wanted to be accepted for who I was, not necessarily for who I thought I had to be. You know? So there was that.
Don't do swag to wag. It's like swag, but without the S.
I don't even know. I don't even know.
So this last story, this is kind of like an ongoing thing because, you know, the past year in Black Lives Matter and now Asian Lives, I don't even know if Asian Lives Matter.
I think,
was like a very
I don't even know if Asian...
What you trying to say, Brandon?
The way you said that.
I don't know if Asian lives matter.
I don't even... Oh, jeez. Tim, I hope you know that Asian lives matter.
Brandon, your face is as red as your shirt right now. I know Asian lives matter. Anyway,
I'm glad you do.
So I don't know if Asian lives matter is still a thing right now, but
yes, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. So it's like I don't even know if it was racism per se. I think it was just like a weird situation of just kids being cruel. But in high school, I remember eating in the cafeteria out of my entire 4 years of high school. I ate in the cafeteria less than a dozen times. And you couldn't eat anywhere else. Like, you couldn't eat on the breezeway. You couldn't eat outside unless it was like a special occasion. And I was so anxious. I don't know. I had a lot of social anxiety. I wasn't an anxious person, but I had social anxiety. And I was so not confident, and I didn't like myself. And of course, I didn't have Jesus back then either, so I didn't have any place to. All the places from which I was trying to get my confidence were places that were just like sand, like my looks or how much money my family had or where I came from or previous relationships, whatever. Sitting by myself, I would just go to the lunchroom during lunch period. I would go up to the line, get it. I don't know if you guys know what zebra cakes are.
Zebra cakes.
Yes, I would buy zebra cakes or the little Nutter Butters. Love those things. Well, not anymore. Just like, I liked them back then. They were like 50 cents. They were cheap.
You're an adult now.
Well, there's a reason.
You can't love unhealthy things anymore. You're an adult.
That's true. But anyways, I would get my zebra cake or I would get my Nutter Butter, and I would just like walk through. Like, I would make sure. Okay, so lunch period would start. I would go to the bathroom, make sure my hair looks good, make sure I look good to my standards. And I would just put on my backpack, and I had all these like cool things on my backpack, and I would just like walk as confidently as I could to get my zebra cake or my Nutter Butter, then walk out. Then I would go to the other end of the school, go in the bathroom, lock the stall, put my feet up and eat my zebra cake, and just wait the lunch period out, right? And that was bad enough. But there is this kid who would sit at the first table in the lunchroom as you would go in every single time. Large group of people. I guess he was kind of popular. I don't really know because he was he was an upperclassman. And every time I would walk in, because I would go in after everybody else, right? People would be like, you know, a door opens, everybody just looks, you know, that's a natural thing. Well, he would look and he'd be talking with his friend and he'd be like, hey, kantai guy, and just like make all these Asian noises, man. And his whole group would like laugh about it, and it's kind of like that story that I told earlier about the guy putting my necklace in his little thing. It's like, what do you do with that? You know, like, how do you navigate this? Do you go up and punch him in the face? Do you be like, whatever? Do you just act like it doesn't matter? Because it totally matters, because everybody's listening, you know. And it just got to the point where I just stopped going in general, or like I would go to the window on the side of the cafeteria and peep in to see if he's there, and if he was, I'd be like, guess I'm not eating anything today. You know, I'd just be like starving the rest of the day. Well, like most of the time in school, I was like really hungry. Not because I didn't have money, just because I wouldn't eat lunch in the cafeteria, and B, like, I mean, even though zebra cakes and Nutter Butters aren't like very filling, it was better than nothing. You know, and so sometimes I would wait until the end of the period and sneak in as everybody was like leaving to line up and get a zebra cake and try and cram it down as fast as I could, or like throw it in my backpack and then eat it between periods later on. Oh man, but that was just so horrible. That was so horrible, man. Like 2 years that happened. It sucked.
Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of people that just kind of seemed to make fun of me when I was in high school and in middle school. Like I said, I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere, except with, ironically, the outcasts of the community, which would have been the kids that were into anime, which was not a popular thing at the time, or video games, or at least in my area. I don't know if like anime and video games is more popular in other parts of the United States, but not North Carolina, not Pufftown, Pufftown. You know, so like, you know, I and the kids who were into those type of things were like the kids that looked, you know, they were the kids
looked
that
like they would be in those types of things.
Well, more specifically, they just looked unattractive. I'm just saying. or atheists and agnostics, ironically. I don't know why. I just did better with them. Because also they didn't really fit in very well either somehow. So I just did better with them. And I didn't sit at tables that very often, especially towards the end. I think towards the end I would sit on the wall of the hallway that leads to the exit and then back towards the schoolrooms, of which I have a couple of pictures of me on Facebook sitting on one of those walls that my girlfriend for 1 month took of me. And it was a very nice picture with me and Ian sitting beside me with his... Did he have his flaming green hair? I don't think he had flaming green hair at the time. I was friends with Ian, and for the longest time he would embarrass the crap out of me because like he's normal until suddenly towards the summer he would shave his head and he would have this gigantic mohawk that he painted green.
This is Ian Burke? Interesting.
Yeah, and I was super embarrassed by him. I was not embarrassed. I was embarrassed being associated with him and everything. I was like, this kid, and he was like into like a cappella things, like and not like normal music or anything. So it's like, this is just... So I did
You're just so weird, man.
He was just so freaking weird. I tried my best. I did my best to like, you know, become friends with him, and I broke through what I thought about him in the end because it's like, I can't be choosy about these things. And so after that point in 4, we became very good friends for a time. But, you know, in the beginning, I was just like, Or I was friends with Lauren on the bus, and she had, like, I'm pretty sure she had father issues or something because she seemed to glom on to men. She didn't have very many women friends. It was always guy friends. And for, like, a hot second... I thought maybe I'd be interested in you, but then, because it was just too clingy. And these are the type of people that I could only seem to fit in with, people that were just either, they seemed to be mentally out of their mind or something, or just off, or they smelled, or whatever.
So which of these am I?
You didn't exist in my life at the time. I don't know what would have happened if you were in my high school years. Like, I don't know. Like, you avoided people towards the end there, so I don't know if I would even have found you. Like, I don't know what would have happened.
I would have been in the bathroom stall.
Or exactly.
Just come knock on the door, man.
Yeah, I'll just seek out a man.
Hear about Jesus?
Seek out a man I didn't know.
But real quick to wrap up, I got one last thing. There was this girl, and man, it was not a secret to anybody that I liked her. I really liked her, and I remember it was between classes. No, it was during class. I excused myself to go to the restroom. I was in journalism and I was walking around. Somehow, class was in session and I was in the hall, and I had been feeling sick, and so I was like, doing the trying to get stuff up. And I had coughed, and you know how you cough and sometimes you get that like that bolus of stuff, and it's like, oh, I gotta spit this out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that had just happened. And I turned the corner, and there she was walking towards me. And she smiles and she waves. I'm like, I'm sitting here panicking because it's like I can't talk with all this crap in my mouth, right?
You
and
can
so
just swallow.
No, that was not on the radar. And so I just duck in the bathroom, and then like I'm just so embarrassed. And then she walks by, and I was just like, I can't believe that just happened, man. That was like the prime opportunity to talk to her. And then she hears and sees me duck around the corner. I'm so embarrassed. So freaking embarrassed.
So sorry. It was bad enough when the girl that I was dating turns out that she ended up like immediately, being with another guy while still dating me for that month.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That sucks.
That was the thing. The good news is I led her to Christ. The bad news is, even though she was led to Christ, she still had her old self, and she was still going around to other men.
Yeah, she's going through sanctification.
She was going through sanctification.
Yeah.
Everyone, the minute I started dating her for that month, everyone knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Every person, which I interpreted, and I still interpret it as they always knew who I was. They just never reached out or said anything to me most of the time. So finally, when I started dating her, now everyone decided to begin to associate me with me. So that was like a pivotal moment in my life of like, wow, I may not be popular, but at least I'm famous.
Yeah, I know that. Well, like towards the end of that year, I ended up asking her out, and I remember, like looking back, it's one of those things where in the moment you're oblivious, but looking back, it's like I'm so embarrassed. I asked her, and I was like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And she's like, oh, my brother's getting married. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. What about next weekend? Oh, and it's just like, I asked her about 3 different weekends, and each time was an excuse. And I was like, oh, okay, well, okay, bye. Like, we never talked about it again. I'm looking back, I'm like, why didn't I get the hint? Man, like, oh gosh, just stop barking up the tree, dude. I was so, oh man, I'm just so embarrassed thinking about it.
I've done a lot of that before, though.
Yeah.
Not realizing those signs. You're not abnormal.
Yeah. Well, all this to say, I think, like, one of the big things for me, like, I frequently look back and I think to myself, how would my school life, specifically high school and middle school, what would that have been like if I had known who Jesus was and I could approach life from a position of confidence? Knowing that I have value, knowing that I'm designed to help people and to do things for people, and it's not always about me. It's not about my insecurities. Maybe it would have been the same. I don't know. Like, I guess Christian kids go through the same thing. But I don't know. Just looking back to those moments thinking, okay, I could have had somebody to talk to. I could have had Jesus. I could have had somebody saying, hey, you were worth it. Like, I really wonder how I would have navigated those things differently.
It's hard to say. I mean, when I was growing up as a Christian in high school and stuff, it wasn't like my life was troubleless, and it wasn't like I didn't have insecurities either. Like, I still had insecurities. I still had troubles in my life. I just didn't happen to fit in with anybody and didn't know how to fit in. I can think of Dan, who grew up as a Christian, but he had Christian parents who were pastors, so he had that weight on his shoulders all throughout high school.
Yeah.
Which I don't remember if he was homeschooled or public. I don't remember exactly how his last years before he went to college were. But either way, what I do remember is that, he had to constantly feel like he had to deal with a facade with people because he was the pastor's kid. And the pastor's kid had to be perfect.
You're going to be judged.
Exactly. You who are pastor's kids are more judged than the average child, kind of thing. So, he had his own things he had to go through. But, I don't know, maybe the difference for me growing up as a Christian in public school, and middle school and high school and stuff, is that I don't know, I maybe wasn't as rebellious as maybe an average teenager would have been. I guess, I mean, part of that's just who I am, I guess, but I don't know. Like, I just wasn't, I didn't feel like rebelling against everyone and everything. I had a pretty easy, from my parents' growing up experience, like, you know, pretty simple. Didn't want to run away, didn't want to whatever. But then again, I also had good parents, so that also helped. You know, I really had parents that cared. They weren't perfect, but they did everything they could, and I think I had good parents in comparison to many of the kids that I went to high school with. I can think of now how different my life would be if I know what I know now in comparison to what I knew then, but obviously I can't take my current knowledge to my past and alter my past.
I think about that so frequently. Like, if I knew back then what I know now, boy howdy.
Yeah, I know. I'd be so much more confident. I would roll with people's punches when they throw them at me. Wouldn't care. I would probably fall into people's jokes intentionally for them to laugh more at me.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out and watching. If you like this new type of content we're doing where it's a little bit more story driven, because I kind of like it, let us know. Let us know in the comments, or shoot us a text or feedback if you know us. thoughtraid@gmail.com is also cool too. But just letting you know, we are going to be changing our streaming time next week. So beginning Friday, the 16th of July, we will be broadcasting 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
However, this coming Friday, Saturday, and Monday, we're still broadcasting at our usual time of 4.
Yeah, but thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't done so already, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get notified when we go live, and we will see you on the next stream.
Thank you guys so much. We're glad that you joined us today.
I can see far away. Yeah, I can see far away from where I've been. He says I see a potential. I see a potential in my eyes. I see a potential. I never lost sight of the reason why you're alive. You're alive. You're alive. We sing Jesus, you're alive.